After the Crucible era has ended, the Greater Will played the most direct and significant role in shaping the New World, and is said to have sent a golden star to the lands between, bearing a beast, which was the living incarnation of order, and would later become the Elden Ring. Remembrance of the Elden Beast hewn into the Earth Tree. It was the vessel beast of the Greater Will and living incarnation of the concept of order. To spread its teachings and cement its control over the populace, the Greater Will relied on a cadre of bizarre hand-like creatures known collectively as the Fingers, which served as both its missionaries and its enforcers. Finger reader Enya says, "I interpret the words of the Fingers, envoys to the Greater Will. The Fingers guide us all, and you, Tarnished, you are here to take, are you not?" Prayer book containing incantations of the two fingers, an item once entrusted to Tarnished worthy of lordship. Prayer book of the Golden Order Fundamentalists, a dense and complex academic treatise that contains the Order's fundamental principles. After a long and brutal series of conflicts, this led to the establishment of a theocracy dedicated to the Golden Order, a system of absolute laws embodied by the Earth Tree and sustained through the Elden Ring's power, a superior incantation of Earth Tree worship. In the beginning, everything was in opposition to the Earth Tree, but through countless victories in war, it became the embodiment of order. Oh, Earth Tree, Great Tree, the Golden Order itself, unwavering, stretched to the sky. Great Elden Ring, root of the Golden Order, anchor of all lands, giver of grace, wellspring of joy. Great sword made of light, modeled after the Elden Ring itself, forged by King Consort Radagon to proudly symbolize the tenets of the Golden Order. One of the legendary armaments. Telltale signs betray that this was once the great sword bequeathed to him by his first wife, Rennala. See, all of this has led to the rise of the Golden Order. This order, the Golden Order, was led by Queen Marika, a member of the Newman race who served as both the theocracy's head of government and its patron goddess. As Brother Corin says, the Golden Order is founded on the principle that Marika is the one true God. Finger reader Enya supports the claim. Queen Marika is the vessel of the Elden Ring, carrier of its vision, a god in truth. Grace that dwells within the inhabitants of the lands between, the lingering residue of gold. The Newmen are said to have come from outside the lands between, and in fact, of the same stock as Queen Marika herself. Her consort Godfrey, the first Elden Lord ordained by the Greater Will under the new regime, and only the second in history after Dragon Lord Plesudusax, won battle after battle on her behalf, and the victory of his forces in the war against the giants brought an end to the thread of Giant's flame, paving the way for Marika to establish the age of the Earth Tree. In Marika's own words, "Hark, brave warriors, hark my lord Godfrey. We command your deeds. Guidance hath delivered you through each ordeal to the place you stand. Put the giants to the sword and confine the flame atop the mount. Let a new epoch begin, an epoch glistening with life. Brandish the Elden Ring for the age of the Earth Tree." Armor of Godfrey, the first Elden Lord. The age of the Earth Tree began amongst conflict, when Godfrey was lord of the battlefield. He led the war against the giants, faced the Stormlord alone, and then there came a moment when his last worthy enemy fell, and it was then, as the story is told, that the hue of Lord Godfrey's eyes faded. The giant's flame is the flame of ruin, capable of burning the Earth Tree, and so, following the war against the giants, its ruinous blaze was sealed, and guardians were appointed to watch over it. Stone used to smith a variety of armaments. Found in a polar region, it's semi-vitrified, thought to have been used to hone the weapons of the champions of the war against the giants at the birth of the Earth Tree. The war against the giants. Champions battle, trolls betray, fire vanquished. The era of the Earth Tree begins. Sword given to the lesser giants who fought for the Earth Tree during the war against the giants long ago. Though they have lost their minds, they stay inseparable from their swords that are in a sad shape, such that the gold plating had flaked away. A hammer made from a boulder, used in the war against the giants, one of the heftiest weapons in the entire lands between. After the giants were quelled and the men turned against men in violence, this weapon was all but forgotten. Man has grown feeble in comparison to his forebears. This following era was marked by great prosperity, bounty, and stability. The Elden Ring had rewritten the very laws of nature, confining destined death and enabling the souls of the departed to reincarnate by returning to the Earth Tree through its roots, while blessings rained down like tears upon the living. A talisman depicting a special blessing of the Earth Tree slightly raises maximum HP, stamina, and equip load. It is said that when the age of the Earth Tree began, such blessings were personally bestowed upon the recipients by Queen Marika herself. Great shield painted with a divine scene, the recipients of a blessed tear from the Earth Tree, an item that looks back fondly on the Age of Plenty. The divine scene acts in and of itself as a sacred invocation, gradually restoring the carrier's HP. One of the ancient Earth Tree incantations. Blessings once fell like tears from the Earth Tree, and this incantation is but a lingering remnant of their power. Rune gestated by Fia, the deathbed companion. Formed of the two Hallowbrand's half-wheels combined, it will embed the principle of life within death into order. The Golden Order was created by confining destined death. Thus, this new order will be one of death restored. The Rune of Death goes by two names. The other is Destined Death, the forbidden shadow plucked from the Golden Order upon its creation. A proper death means returning to the Earth Tree. Have patience until the time comes and the roots call to you. A resin secreted from the roots of the Great Tree. The roots of the Great Tree were once linked to those of the Earth Tree, or so they say, and it is for this reason catacombs are built around Great Tree roots. Usher of Death, Roses, who shows the path to the catacombs throughout the lands between, is depicted on this ritual axe. The dead easily lose their way and have always been in sore need of a guiding hand. At the very depths of the Earth Tree's majestic roots lies the source of the Ainzel and the Siofra rivers. Here too begins the network of Great Tree roots that spread throughout the lands between. One of the ancient Earth Tree incantations. The Earth Tree once flourished with abundance, yet it was only for a fleeting moment. Such is the course of all life. The Age of Plenty was not to last, however, and before long, the fickle Marika shattered the Elden Ring by her own hand, upending the Golden Order and throwing the very foundations of existence into disarray. The great Elden Ring was shattered. In our home across the fog, the lands between. Now Queen Marika, the Eternal, is nowhere to be found, and in the Night of the Black Knives, Godwyn the Golden was first to perish. Soon Marika's offspring demigods all claimed the shards of the Elden Ring. The mad taint of their newfound strength triggered the shattering, a war from which no lord arose, a war leading to the abandonment by the greater will. Stonehammer made in the lands of the Newman, outside the lands between, the tool with which Queen Marika shattered the Elden Ring and Radagon attempted to repair it. The hammer partially broke upon shattering the ring, becoming splintered with rune fragments. Rune discovered by the Noble Gold Mask, a rune of transcendental ideology which will attempt to perfect the Golden Order. The current imperfection of the Golden Order, or instability of ideology, can be blamed upon the fickleness of the gods, no better than men. That is the fly in the ointment. The Age of the Earth Tree came to an end when Ranni the Witch, formerly an Empyrean chosen by the Fingers as a candidate to succeed Queen Marika, rebelled against the Golden Order and orchestrated the murder of the demigod Godwyn using a stolen fragment of the forbidden Rune of Death, then vanished without a trace. This event as a whole destabilized the theocracy and ultimately led to Queen Marika shattering the Elden Ring, an act of sacrilege for which she was subsequently confined within the Earth Tree by the Greater Will and its vassal fingers. The vacuum of power left in the wake of Marika's imprisonment was filled by the remnants of her lineage, each vying for possession of the Elden Ring's scattered shards in a long and brutal war which later became known as the Shattering. For all the blood spilled during this conflict, however, not a single victor emerged to claim the throne, and the shard-bearing belligerents were condemned by the Greater Will. Desperate, the fingers turned to the tarnished, ordinary mortals falling from grace, in hopes that a worthy successor for Queen Marika might be found among their ranks. Extended the guidance of grace once more, tarnished flocked to the Round Table Hold, drawn by the fingers' wisdom and the great duty imposed upon them in the name of the Golden Order. A fractured world. The methods employed by the two fingers to preserve the fragmented laws of nature and compel the cooperation by the tarnished were less than subtle, and the Greater Will made a stark example of any who opposed it or existed outside the bounds of its order. Incantation of the Two Fingers servants, who once served as the assassins of the Round Table Hold, completely silences the footsteps of the caster, additionally reduces fall damage and sound produced by falling. The assassins were charged with eliminating tarnished who had strayed from guidance. The assassins were themselves once tarnished who had strayed from guidance, and they pursued their duty in the darkness that is without grace. Small mysterious bottle in a dark mist sealed within, eliminates all sound made by the wearer during movement. A ritual implement used by Round Table Hold assassins. There was a time when tarnished who had strayed from guidance feared nothing more than utter silence. Long ago, the Nox invoked the ire of the Greater Will and were banished deep underground. Now they live under a false night sky in eternal anticipation of their liege, of the coming age of the stars and their Lord of Night. The hidden treasure of the eternal city of Nokron, a blade said to have been born of a corpse. This blood-drenched fetish is proof of the high treason committed by the eternal city and symbolizes its downfall. Cannot be wielded by those without a fate, but is said to be able to harm the Greater Will and its vessels. Those who live in death fall outside the principles of the Golden Order. Their mere existence sullies the guidance of gold, tainting its truth. And so it is the vermin must be exterminated, down to the very last. Craftable item prepared using a cracked pot, enchanted by incantations of the Golden Order. Highly effective against those who live in death, even preventing them from rising again. The Golden Order has no mercy for those who trespass beyond life's bounds. One of the incantations of the Golden Order fundamentalists, used by hunters of those who live in death. This incantation is especially damaging to those who live in death. Any felled by this incantation cannot be revived. The role of the hunters is to stamp out defiled reason, all for the perfection of the Golden Order. The noble Goldmask lamented what had become of the hunters, how easy it is for the learning and learnedness to be reduced to the ravings of fanatics. All the good and the great wanted in their foolishness was an absolute evil to contend with. Does such a notion exist in the fundamentals of order? Over time, however, the fingers' power and influence began to wane, and their inability to effectively mitigate the fallout from the Elden Ring's destruction earned them ever more skeptics, not to mention an increasing number of genuinely dangerous enemies. The words of the Two Fingers cannot be trusted. Truly, not by ramblings, senile delusions. I believe that when the Elden Ring was shattered, the Two Fingers were corrupted, their guidance skewed. Even worse, the fingers harbor no love for our kind. Can you see it then, the guidance of grace, I mean? I can't see it at all anymore. Makes no bloody sense anyway, why some no-name like me should get called to the lands between. Cruel bloody joke, you ask me. Maybe something went tits up with it, maybe it's been broke for a good long time. The Earth Tree, I'm saying. incantation taught to Gideon the All-Knowing by the Two Fingers. Gideon gained true knowledge after his long exchange with the Two Fingers, discovering all had been broken long ago, that the trembling fingers, bent with age, and the earth tree itself were no exception. Go if you would, take no heed of cardinal sin. The Two Fingers lost their purpose a long, long time ago. The earth tree blessed the tarnished with grace, but it was all too meager in the face of enormity of their task. The tarnished were forced to scavenge, squabbling for crumbs, like the shard-bearers vying for power in the wake of the shattering. If the earth tree, and indeed the very gods, would debase us so, then we're willing to raise the banner of resistance, even if it means heresy. A talisman engraved with the stern likeness of Praetor Rykard, master of a volcano manor. When Rykard turned to heresy, taking by force became the rule. The gods themselves were no different after all. Burn the earth tree to the ground and incinerate all that divides and distinguishes. May chaos take the world. However, even as life itself lies in shambles, so too does a glimmer of hope endure, and where the greater will and its vessels have failed, a tarnished may still succeed. Many possible solutions lie ahead, and once you've overcome the many trials on the path to lordship, it will be up to you to choose whichever you deem most fitting. If you intend to claim the frenzied flame, I ask that you cease. It is not to be meddled with. It is chaos, devouring life and thought unending. However ruined this world has become, however mired in torment and despair, life endures. Births continue. There is beauty in that, is there not? If you would become Lord, do not deny this notion. Please, leave the frenzied flame alone. I ask you one more time, please do not seek the frenzied flame. As one who strives to become a lord, deny not the lives, the new births of this world. Those who would are not fit to be called lord, when the land they preside over is lifeless. The burning of the earth tree is the first cardinal sin, and you say you seek the power of the rune of death too? Unleashing the rune now would be unthinkable. The fingers would never permit it, nor would the greater will. But here we are, the fingers dormant, severing our link to the greater will. The realm and all life in ruins. Impossible events transpire, beyond the ken of the fingers. Who is to say that the cardinal sin must be cardinal forever? Go on, finish the job. Take the course you deem most worthy.
Je